The top stories tonight in Y News. Pasig, Marikina, and Pateros mayors get highest satisfaction ratings for COVID-19 response in Metro Manila according to a survey.
The World Health Organization decides to halt the use of anti-malarial drug hydroxychloroquine for its Solidarity trial.
Manila City not yet ready to adopt the bicycle lane project, says its mayor.
Tourist-related travel in and out of Australia may not happen until 2021, Tourism Minister says.
ATP and WTA tours announce resumption in August. Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Thursday, June 18, 2020. I am Herlene Delgado.
Join us in the next 45 minutes as we deliver today's top stories around the globe. I'm Angelo Castro III.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media accounts and our website, untvweb.com. I am William Theo.
First in the news, local chief executives in the eastern parts of Metro Manila topped a survey for their response to the COVID-19 crisis in their localities. In the Metro Manila COVID-19 survey conducted by RLR Research and Analysis Incorporated, Pasig City Mayor Vico Soto scored the highest satisfaction rate with 97%. He was followed by Marikina Mayor Marcy Teodoro with 95% satisfaction rating. Third on the list is Pateros Mayor Miguel Ponce with 94%. Meanwhile, Manila Mayor Isko Moreno Dumagoso and Valenzuela City Mayor Rex Gatchalian both scored 92%. Mandaluyong Mayor Menchi Abalos got a 90% satisfaction rating. Muntinlupa Mayor Jimmy Fresnedi with 84%. And San Juan City Mayor Francis Zamora with 83%. Caloocan Mayor Oka Malapitan notched with the 9th spot with 82% satisfaction rating, followed by Taguig Mayor Lino Cayetano with 78%. Navotas Mayor Toby Tiangco and Parañaque Mayor Edwin Olivares both got a 70% rating. Makati Mayor Abby Binay with 69%, Pasay Mayor Emmy Calixto Rubiano with 68%, and Malabon Mayor Lenlen Oreta with 52%, while Quezon City Mayor Joy Belmonte and Las Piñas Mayor Mel Aguilar got the last two places with 47% and 46% ratings respectively. The survey was conducted from May 14 to June 2, 2020 with 1,275 respondents aged 18 and above through computer-assisted telephone interview. It has an error margin of plus minus 2.7%. In the survey, the respondents were asked how satisfied they are with the response of their mayors on the COVID-19 pandemic. 100 participants were picked in Metro Manila cities with over 300,000 households, 70 participants in cities with 100,000 to 300,000 households, and 65 participants for areas with less than 100,000 households. Some of the achievements of Mayor Soto that have made headlines are the Pasig Supplemental SAP for families in the city who were not able to receive emergency subsidy from the government, the launching of community kitchen and mobile palengke, and his support for the resumption of tricycle operations in the city. Marikina Mayor Teodoro, meanwhile, is known for pushing the construction and accreditation of the city's molecular diagnostic laboratory for its own COVID-19 testing. As more and more individuals stranded in other areas are returning to Masbate province, the provincial IATF on COVID-19 has come up with an order to barangay executives to designate more quarantine facilities for Masbateños coming home. The IATF has previously received a report on overcrowded quarantine facilities, which are inconvenient for returning individuals. The aim is to avoid compromising the health of those returning Masbateños. hospitals. On the other hand, overseas Filipino workers are housed in different facilities accredited by the provincial IATF. Based on data from Masbata's IATF, about 17,000 individuals have returned to the island province, which remains COVID-19 free to date. The lockdown in Bontoc Mountain Province is extended. This after the municipality recorded its first case of coronavirus disease. The case, a close contact of a COVID-19 patient who visited the region on June 6, is a resident of Barangay Sukib in Besao. According to the Besao COVID-19 Task Force, after contact tracing, persons who came in contact with Bontoc's Case 1 are now in quarantine while waiting for swab test results. The patient's home has been decontaminated. Family members and relatives have received counseling. The patient is admitted in Luis Hora Regional Memorial Hospital.
27 Bureau of Fire Protection personnel might face charges after a gathering they were present at on Boracay Island last week. After undergoing quarantine, those 27 will be subject to an investigation, and the BFP is ready for such a probe, according to its chief. One of our senior correspondents, Lea Ilagan, clarifies why.
Bureau of Fire Protection Director Jose Embang Jr. reveals that they have created a team whose objective is to get to the bottom of the supposed party in a hotel on Boracay Island that happened on June 12 to 14. This comes after 27 BFP personnel went to Boracay on June 12 after the inspection team of the Interagency Task Force on Emerging Infectious Diseases left the island. One of those BFP personnel had tested positive for COVID-19 before the occasion.
Ano pa talagang ginawa nila, yung staff, bakit nakapunta doon yung positive na supposedly ay naka-quarantine siya.
If proven guilty of violating quarantine protocols, the so-called Bora 27 will face charges according to the BFP chief. Fire Director Imbang assures the BFP will not tolerate such action.
Anyway, rest assured po, kababayan natin na yung Bureau of Fire Protection na hindi tinatulay yung mga ganyang practices. And whoever be found guilty, then they will suffer kung ano man yung consequences niyan.
Following the incident, the chief of BFP Western Visayas, Fire Senior Superintendent Rodrigo Aguto, and 27 others were relieved from their post. He is replaced by Fire Senior Superintendent Jerry Candido, BFP's Director for Logistics. The BFP chief adds, the 196 personnel of BFP Western Visayas have undergone rapid tests, of which 28 have also undergone swab tests. They are now undergoing quarantine protocols while awaiting their RT-PCR test results. Meanwhile, Department of Environment and Natural Resources Director Natividad Bernardino has issued a statement saying the BFP were not included in the meeting they held in Boracay because they limited the participants to 15. Lea Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The World Health Organization decides to halt the use of an anti-malarial drug for the Solidarity trial. Aiko Miguel, our health correspondent, explains why.
Hydroxychloroquine, when compared with the standard of care in the treatment of hospitalized COVID patients, does not result in a reduction of the mortality of those patients.
This is the decision of the World Health Organization after trials done on hydroxychloroquine. Last month, WHO hit the pause button on the use of the anti-malarial drug due to findings of safety concerns on COVID-19 patients with cardiovascular problems. Hydroxychloroquine is a drug used to treat lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, and malaria, which is caused by protozoan parasites that invade the red blood cells. As of this month, 288 COVID-19 patients in the Philippines have enrolled in the Solidarity trial. Some of them had been given hydroxychloroquine before. Meanwhile, the Philippines will join the Solidarity trial for COVID-19 vaccine.
We will be submitting our intent sa WHO para makasali rin tayo sa Solidarity trial on vaccine.
According to Undersecretary Vergere, they are currently in talks with 4 pharmaceutical firms for the possible participation in the clinical trial for COVID-19 vaccine. One of the 4 firms is Sinopharm, a China-owned pharmaceutical company. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
And let's take a closer look at the updated count of coronavirus cases around the world. The COVID-19 pandemic has now reached a total of more than 8.3 million confirmed cases in 188 countries, regions, and sovereignty. The fast-spreading disease has claimed close to 450,000 lives, while more than 109,000 patients across the globe have recovered from the new coronavirus disease, bringing the total to over 4 million. The United States of America of today remains to have the most recorded cases, now at more than 2.16 million, while healthcare workers in the U.S. have helped more than 500,000 patients recover from the infection. Meanwhile, New York, once the United States epicenter of coronavirus infections, now has the country's lowest rate of virus spread, Governor Andrew Cuomo said on Wednesday. He added the state's death toll and number of people hospitalized with COVID-19 continue to decline.
We once again have demonstrated that we've gone from the worst infection rate in the country to the best infection rate in the country.
The number of people with COVID-19 entering hospitals in New York State dropped to 1,479 on Tuesday, and that is the lowest level since March 20, while the number of deaths fell to 17, the lowest number since the outbreak began, Governor Cuomo said. Well, that's some good news after an upside-down situation. But if we take a look at the next 6 countries hit by the COVID-19 pandemic, Peru surpasses the confirmed cases in Italy. Chile also joins Brazil and Peru as the South American country most affected by the novel coronavirus, surpasses the numbers in Iran, France, Germany, and even in Turkey. Meanwhile, the country's Department of Health says that 562 new cases were reported today, including 481 fresh cases and 81 late ones. Now, the Philippines has a total of 27,799 confirmed COVID-19 cases. That is as of 4 p.m. today. We have lost 9 more patients, but through our fervent prayers, medical interventions, and sacrifices of our medical frontliners, 270 more people have won their battle against the invisible enemy. That brings the total recoveries nationwide to 7,090 persons. Thanks be to God. Philippine Health Insurance Corporation President and Chief Executive Officer Ricardo Morales stands firm that he is open to any investigation on the alleged anomalies in the agency. However, he refutes the accusations of presidential spokesperson Harry Roque. Aiko Miguel has the details why.
It's not true to say na corruption-free ang PhilHealth. You know how big we are, but not on the scale as claimed by Attorney Roque. Yung 154 billion last year claim is largely unsubstantiated. I asked the help of the Commission on Audit and the Insurance Commission and the National Bureau of Investigation and the Presidential Anti-Corruption Commission kung saan mahanap itong nawawalang pera. Wala, hindi masubstantiate. Sino bang kumita nun? Where did it come from? Hindi wala sa libro namin.
This was the statement of PhilHealth CEO and President Ricardo Morales during today's interview. Morales challenges Secretary Harry Roque to present evidence for his allegations in court.
Matagal na yung vendetta niya against some people dito sa PhilHealth. So, ang ano ko doon, if he has any data, I should file the case. That's what's keeping him.
Morales also assures that under his administration, he acted on the complaints against the 20 executive officials and employees allegedly involved in corruption. Meanwhile, Morales assures there is still enough fund for the claims of PhilHealth members.
We started the year with about 130 billion in reserve. 130 billion. So, hindi totoong walang pera yung PhilHealth. But we were asking for 153 billion for 2020. Natanggap namin is 71 billion. So, may shortfall yon. Pero kaya pa naman ang reserves namin yon. We're okay for this year, up to about early next year. We're fine.
PhilHealth is continuously coordinating with the Department of Finance and Department of Budget and Management for the possible fund adjustment of the state-owned health insurance company next year. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque stands firm the universal health care law must be implemented. Our Malacanang correspondent Rosalie Cos explains why.
It is unlawful not to implement the universal health care law. This is the reaction of presidential spokesperson Harry Roque to the statement made by PhilHealth President Ricardo Morales before the Joint Congressional Oversight Committee. Morales pointed out that PhilHealth could suffer a fund deficit until 2024 due to the COVID-19 effects, so the state insurance agency is asking to postpone the implementation of the universal healthcare law while they are conserving their resources amid the pandemic.
Ang aking panawagan po sa mga namumuno ng PhilHealth, kung hindi niyo po mapapatupad ang isang batas na sinertify urgent ng Presidente mismo dahil ang nais niya magkaroon ng libreng gamot at libreng gamot ang lahat ng Pilipino gaya ng ginawa niya sa Davao, siguro po hahanap na lang po ng iba na po pwede magpatupad niya.
The palace official also reveals he will talk to President Rodrigo Duterte and request for a meeting together with Morales regarding the issue and allegations of continuing corruption and anomalies within the state-owned corporation.
Natural, ang inaasahan natin mag-iimbestiga, magtatanggal, magpaparusa. Pero wala po tayong nakitang ganyang ginawa si General Morales. Ang gagawin ko na lang po siguro, maghihingi ako ng pagpupulong kay Presidente nang sa ganon maimbitahan si General Morales at pupunta rin po ako para maisabi ko naman kung ano talagang aking damdamin. No?
Rosalie Cos, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Meanwhile, Malacanang believes the Office of the Ombudsman's investigation on the Department of Health will not affect the credibility of the IATF and the DOH. The President also still trusts Health Secretary Francisco Duque III unless he is removed from his post.
Until found guilty, they are presumed innocent. At kung mapapansin nyo naman po, ang IATF talaga ay lahat po ng departamento, it's a whole government approach. It's not just the DOH. Although the DOH, of course, has a position of leadership.
But Senator Sherwin Gatchalian believes it is better if Health Secretary Duque would take a leave of absence. This is to ensure a fair investigation of the Ombudsman, he says.
Obviously, you can influence the information that the Ombudsman will request from the agency. So, I think the most appropriate thing to do is to take a leave while the investigation is ongoing.
Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque maintained he has nothing to do with the resignation of Dr. Tony Liachon as Special Advisor to the National Task Force on COVID-19. Our Malacanang correspondent Rosalie Cos tells us why.
Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque clarifies it is President Rodrigo Duterte himself who was displeased with Liachon's statements that criticized the Department of Health as lead agency of the government's response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Liachon in his tweet says the DOH has lost its focus on its priorities. He expresses dismay over the health department's reporting of the country's COVID-19 cases.
Nanggaling naman po kay Presidente na bakit nagsasalita ng ganito itong si Liachon. So let me correct you, Dr. Liachon. Hindi po ako, hindi si Secretary Duque. Mismong Presidente po noted that you should not be doing what you were doing. Kasi alam niyo naman po, pagdating sa datos ng Department of Health, wala po talagang tinatago.
The palace is not denying its negative reaction to Liachon's statements.
You do not have the monopoly of the truth and we have never lied. Saan po kami nagsinungaling? Dapat ilathala niya yan. No? We are perfecting the recording of cases. We have not perfected it yet, but we are striving po to improve.
In a statement, Dr. Liachon says he respects the president and he will remain loyal to the flag. He also reiterates it's his moral responsibility to inform the public, and it is a great disservice to the president if he will not alert him the current situation of the country on COVID-19 pandemic. Rosa Licos, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The leaders of the House of Representatives plan to investigate the delay on the distribution of government aid under the Social Amelioration Program to families qualified to benefit from it. Vincent Arboleda will tell us why.
The leadership of the lower house of Congress wants the Department of Social Welfare and Development to explain why the distribution of the Social Amelioration Program or SAP took much time. According to House Resolution number 973, the complicated and lengthy process the DSWD had implemented resulted in confusion among the local government units and worry among beneficiaries. According to House Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano, although they support the agencies in bringing much-needed assistance to those affected, the lawmakers will still demand accountability for the flaws and delays on the implementation of the program. There had been several extensions on the deadline of distribution of the first tranche of SAP, while some local government units in the country have yet to finish that until today. Asked to give their comment on the move of the lower house to investigate the distribution of SAP, DSWD Undersecretary Rene Glenn Paje says the agency is ready to answer the questions of lawmakers.
Para sa DSWD po, ang nasabing pagsisiyasat ay isa ring pagkakataon upang tumugon sa mga katanungan ng mga mambabatas at mabigyan ng linaw at maipaliwanag ang mga proseso na isinagawa upang mapanatili ang integridad ng nasabing programa.
Vincent Arboleda, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
In other news, 15 UV Express going to Dao, Pampanga, 60 jeepneys going to Pulilan, Kalumpit, and Baliwag, Mekawayan, Bulacan will be operational starting on Monday. The Pulilan Municipal Government and Transportation Department have demonstrated the right process in accepting fares and passengers. On UV Express and jeepneys, passengers may ride the vehicle only after sanitizing their hands, disinfecting their money, then paying the driver. Plastic barriers have also been installed. Social distancing will be strictly observed. Only one passenger may sit beside the driver. Only 8 passengers may sit at the back. A no-face, mask, no-ride policy will also be implemented. Smoking, spitting, drunk people, anyone 20 years of age and under and or more than 60 years of age will not be allowed inside the vehicles. Meanwhile, some 10,000 jeepney drivers and around 200 UV Express drivers are hoping to secure a special permit from the LTFRB to hit the roads once again.
The national government is mulling over the possibility of allowing roadworthy traditional jeepneys to operate in the national capital region again, according to Malacanang. The palace also confirms that starting June 22, modern utility vehicles will start to operate again in Metro Manila. The IATF against COVID-19 is also studying if they can let provincial buses operate as well beginning June 22.
Mayor Francisco Isko Moreno Domagoso believes that the city of Manila is not yet ready for the construction of a bicycle lane. Dante Amento, who is monitoring the situation in the nation's capital, will join us tonight to tell us why live. Dante, good evening.
Yes, Harleen, good evening. In spite of the lack of transportation for employees and essential workers nowadays, Manila City Mayor Dumagoso believes that nation's capital is not yet ready for the construction of a bicycle lane. He appreciates the idea of a bike lane network, especially that the objective is the safety of bicycle riders. But for him, the project needs a thorough study.
Titiisin ko po bilang ama ninyo na medyo nahihirapan kayong maglakad, nahihirapan kayong sumakay sa pampublikong sakyan para makapaghanap buhay lang. Kaysa makikita ko kayo sumambulat ang utak ninyo sa kalsada.
The mayor says that before implementing or constructing a network for bicycle paths, careful considerations must first be done. He cited the Netherlands, which has an excellent bike lane project. Mayor Dumagoso stresses all the drivers, not only cyclists in Manila, must undergo proper orientation for such initiative before a full implementation. Because if the drivers have no discipline, that will surely put cyclists in harm's way.
Babaligtarin ko naman ang senaryo. Handa na ba ang tao na nagbibisikleta na ilagay niya ang sarili niya sa maayos na kalagayan sa gitna ng rumaragasang malalaking sasakyan? Nabahagi siya sa kalsada.
Arlene, that's what Mayor Isko said today.
So Dante, in relation to that, what is the updated count of heavy vehicles plying Manila's roads?
Yes, Harleen, 4,000 heavy or big trucks are flying in Manila every day, according to Mayor Isko himself.
All right. Thank you so much, Dante Amento, for that report. Meanwhile, the Department of Tourism prepares for the opening of some tourist destinations in Camarines Norte province in Bicol. The tourism department has made site inspections and visits to ascertain that the IATF guidelines for the reopening of establishments are followed. The Boracay-like beaches on Calaguas Island and the Mercedes group of islands are included in the roster of tourist spots that will be reopened by DOT Camarines Norte. But the Provincial Tourism Office clarifies only local tourists will be allowed to visit those sites once they restart operations.
Pinapayagan silang mag-operate para na rin sa pagtakbo ng ating ekonomiya, pero ganun pa man, sinasalangalan pa rin ang health and safety of our tourists.
Camarines Norte has the third highest tourist visits in Bicol, estimated at 250,000 yearly. Jago William, we are on board the UNTV radio mobile booth and we are here on Commonwealth Avenue in Batasan Hills, Quezon City. Let's take a look at the situation on the road. Jago William, heads up to the motorist bound to Fairview. Expect a moderate to at times heavy traffic from Elliptical Road going to Commonwealth Avenue. Though Jago and William, we can see a lot of vehicles plying this area. There is still an unimpeded flow of traffic as of the moment. Meanwhile, we have a light traffic situation on the other side of the road for vehicles going to EDSA, Quezon Avenue. And for the weather update. The Intertropical Convergence Zone, or ITCZ, is affecting southern Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. According to Pag-asa, Bicol Region, Mimaropa, Visayas, and Mindanao will experience cloudy skies with scattered rain showers and thunderstorms. Possible flash floods or landslides may occur due to scattered moderate to at times heavy rains. Meanwhile, partly cloudy to cloudy skies with isolated rain showers and thunderstorms will prevail over Metro Manila and the rest of the country caused by the ITCZ or localized thunderstorms.
The Balik Probinsya Bagong Pag-asa or BP2 program beneficiaries will now be candidates to receive government-owned land. Agrarian Reform Secretary John Casticiones said that under Executive Order 75 issued last year, idle government land will be subjected to distribution for agricultural purposes. But aside from farmers, beneficiaries of the land distribution initiative also include overseas Filipino workers, rebel returnees, and agriculture graduates. Ray Pelayo has more details why.
Around 180,000 hectares of government-owned land can be distributed to beneficiaries, according to Agrarian Reform Secretary John Casticiones. Some agencies and institutions have signified support to the program, including the Department of National Defense, University of the Philippines, Metropolitan Waterworks and Sewerage System, TESDA, Department of Environment and Natural Resources, and the Department of Agriculture.
Sinabi naman nila na susuportahan nila yung programa sa pamamagitan ng pag-execute ng deed of transfer para mailipat sa ating lupa at pasukat na namin at ma-identify natin yung mga beneficiaryo na pwedeng bigyan ng lupa.
Castriciones adds that beneficiaries may receive 1 to 3 hectares for farming purposes and less than that if for other purposes. Part of the conditions is that the beneficiaries cannot sell the piece of land for a certain period of time. Secretary Castriciones also notes that the project would help decongest Metro Manila given that the acceleration of COVID-19 virus spread is also attributed to congestion in highly urbanized areas like in the National Capital Region. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Department of Education is aware of the reality that not all parents can guide their children in their studies. There are parents who were not able to get some education or finish their studies. Others need to work to sustain their family's needs. As DepEd introduces the modular learning modality as one of the new learning approaches in school year 2020 to 2021, it is planning to hire para-teachers. Joanano tells us why.
Itong para-teachers, ito yung i-hire namin na mga education graduates na hindi pa natanggap o kasalukuyang nag-a-apply bilang teacher. At kami ay makikipag-ugnayan din sa mga local government units, lalo na sa mga barangay, kung sa loob ng barangay, sino ang pwedeng ma-tap natin para makapag-assist o makapag-guide sa mga mag-aaral sa loob ng isang barangay.
This is the Education Department's plan so as not to neglect students whose parents cannot assist them in the new mode of learning in the coming school year. However, DepEd needs to study this move further in order to determine how to properly execute it as well as the number of para-teachers to be hired.
Una po kasi, i-determine namin ilang mga bata yung walang paggabay o hindi kayang gabayan ng kanilang magulang at ilan naman yung available na para-teachers sa isang barangay. At kung mas marami ang supply ng para-teachers sa isang barangay, ay pwede naming i-strategize paano yung pagpunta sa bahay-bahay ng mga para-teachers.
Meanwhile, as several local government units appeal for a green light to staggered face-to-face classes in areas that are COVID-19 free, DepEd suggests that concerns must be raised to the IATF as DepEd cannot decide on such appeal. In his tweet, Sorsogon Governor Chis Escudero appeals to consider a staggered conduct of face-to-face classes. DepEd, for its part, maintains it will follow President Duterte's order that no face-to-face classes shall happen without the availability of a vaccine against COVID-19. Joanano, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
And for the news abroad, here's Mariel Latoza live from Perth, Australia. Good evening, Mariel.
Good evening, William, and to Diego and Charlene as well. How are you, William?
Yes, I'm doing fine, Mariel. I hope you're doing good as well. And what have you got for us this evening?
William, Australian Federal Tourism Minister Simon Birmingham hints that tourist-related travel in and out of Australia may not happen until 2021. Elsewhere in Germany, some local schools located around a slaughterhouse in the northern part of the country have been shut down. I will also tell you why visitors of Russian President Vladimir Putin will need to pass through special disinfection tunnels before seeing him. William?
Yes, okay, Mariel, go ahead and please tell us why.
When asked regarding international flights, Australian Federal Tourism Minister Simon Birmingham said it was more likely that the case that countries' borders may not reopen until next year. Hence, tourist-related travel in and out of Australia may not happen until 2021. This is despite the fact that Prime Minister Scott Morrison is keen to unlock interstate travel as the unemployment rate rose to a heartbreaking 7.1% last month. But it is not a total international travel ban. In fact, the Australian government is in discussions with New Zealand on proposals by the Joint Trans-Tasman Safe Border Group that travel between the countries on September could be possible, where isolation or quarantine will not be required. However, travelers may still need to undergo a COVID-19 test and carry a certificate proving that they are free of the disease. The travel bubble can include other Pacific islands such as Fiji, New Caledonia, and Vanuatu. The tourism minister remarked that business travel could open earlier than leisure travel. He also hopes to work with other countries who were similarly successful as Australia and New Zealand in containing the COVID-19 pandemic to find safe pathways for essential business travel. Singapore, who has hinted opening its borders to several countries, including Australia by year-end, could be one of those countries. Also here in Down Under, the massive blow to the employment sector from COVID-19 pandemic-driven lockdown is devastating, Prime Minister Scott Morrison said today.
These are our dark times, but I can see that ray of light, and I'm sure Australians can too, but we've got to keep moving towards it. We've got to keep working hard each and every day.
Employment in May plunged a further 227,700 after a record slump of about 600,000 in April. Figures from the Australian Bureau of Statistics showed today. The unemployment rate shot up to 7.1%, the highest since October 2001. Prime Minister Morrison attributes the bad news in employment to the COVID-19 pandemic.
We're looking at around 2 years to get the economy back to where it was before COVID hit it. And let's make no mistake about this. This recession is a product of the coronavirus pandemic. Our economy was strengthening, stable and sound. Coronavirus is the reason people have lost their jobs. And it'll take us, we estimate, around 2 years to get back just to where we were when that happened.
Some 650 workers have tested positive for the new coronavirus at a slaughterhouse in northern Germany. This situation has prompted the closure of local schools and an urgent investigation, according to officials. Twenties, one of Germany's biggest meat processors, said it has stopped slaughtering on Wednesday and was shutting the abattoir in stages. Germany, which has been relatively successful in containing the new coronavirus in May, announced it was tightening rules in abattoirs. It decided to ban the subcontracting of meat packing work through employment agency after a series of coronavirus outbreaks among slaughterhouses workers, Labor Minister Hubertus Hale said. Chinese said in a statement the plant's reopening would depend on what the authorities will decide. Russian President Vladimir Putin is protected from the coronavirus by special disinfection tunnels. Anyone visiting his residence outside Moscow or meeting him in the Kremlin must pass through those tunnels, his spokesman said. One such special tunnel, manufactured by a Russian company based in the town of Penza, has been installed at Putin's official Novo-Ogaryovo residence outside Moscow and 2 more in the Kremlin, said Dmitry Peskov, Putin's spokesman. He said they were installed at the height of the pandemic in Russia, which authorities say is now on the wane, particularly in Moscow, where lockdown restrictions are being lifted. Some restrictions in the Kremlin remained in place, said Peskov, though many had been removed. He said precautions regarding Putin's health continued to be justified, however. Putin has spent much of the pandemic running the world's largest country from his residence rather than in the Kremlin, chairing video conference meetings from a room that his critics dubbed a bunker. Tighter travel restrictions to and from Beijing are now in place to contain the recent flare-up of COVID-19 cases related to Sinfandi Wholesale Farm-Produced Market, the city's public security authority said today. According to the Beijing Center for Disease Prevention and Control, Beijing reported 158 domestically transmitted COVID-19 cases from June 11 to 17. Most of which are related to the now-closed Sinfandi market. The city has tightened outbound travels, but it does not mean that Beijing is sealed off. The city, however, barred some people from leaving, especially those who are confirmed of coronavirus infection, people who had close contact with infected ones, asymptomatic patients, and those with fever. The Chinese capital, Beijing, keeps on testing and screening people who had close contacts or association with the Sinfandi wholesale market. And those are the reasons behind the news here in Australia and in other parts of the globe. Back to you, William.
Thank you very much, Marielle Atosa. I'm reporting live from Perth, Australia. Please stay safe over there.
The Men's Association of Tennis Professionals, or ATP Tour, and Women's WTA Tour have issued revised calendars for the resumption of professional tennis after the shutdown caused by novel coronavirus pandemic. The men's tour will resume on August 14 with the City Open ATP 500 event in Washington, D.C., while the first WTA event will be staged in Palermo, Italy from August 3. Announcing the new provisional schedule, ATP chairman Andrea Gaudenzi said the objective had been to salvage as much of the season as possible. For the foreseeable future, all tournaments will be held without spectators. Hong Kong's loss-making Disneyland theme park reopened today to a limited number of local visitors and with enhanced health measures after the coronavirus outbreak forced it to close in late January. Dozens of visitors were seen queuing to get into the park on Thursday morning, many of whom were families with children. The park says its shopping and dining locations will have reduced capacity and that it will implement social distancing measures in any queues and throughout its facilities. It will also carry out disinfection more frequently and make hand sanitizer available for visitors who are required to go through temperature screening and wear a face mask. In contrast to the major outbreaks seen in other big cities around the world, Hong Kong has reported a relatively small number of 1,121 cases, mostly imported, and 4 deaths. Although the border remains virtually shut, life is slowly returning to normal. Without tourists, business for Disneyland in Hong Kong is likely to remain subdued, having to rely on the domestic market, struggling with a recession after months of often violent pro-democracy protests even before the coronavirus blow. Shanghai's Disneyland, which is able to attract visitors from outside the city, reopened in May. Those are the reasons behind the news, June 18, 2020. I am Harleen Delgado. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I'm Angelo Castro III.
And I am William Theo. Because we need to know, we will always ask why. Have a great evening, everyone.